One of the things that I've noticed is that every person is slightly different, and you can just tell it physically to begin with. If you look at twins, identical twins, they're ever so slightly not identical, and look at them long enough, and you can tell. So that tiny difference indicates that you're looking at a completely different person, and that same difference multiplies and magnifies when you look at people from different families, and especially as you cross different cultures. And the further you move, the more different people begin to look. But the thing that is common among them is this ability to perceive, to feel, to emote, to desire for good things, bad things, to do evil acts, to do good acts, to redeem themselves, to do everything that you yourself may want to do and feel, everything that you feel, at least the things they think about may be different. If you're on another part of the world, the specific people around you, the stuff that occupies your mind will be different. It could be colder weather, hotter weather, richer, poor. Those things are different and they change. But the feeling aspect, your relationship with it, is the overarching and common thing. So ultimately, when it comes to living a good life and feeling fulfilled through it, it comes down to your own personal relationship with your surroundings and your personal ability to connect with what's around you and to make it better. And as you make it better, you become better. Someone who spends time cleaning something, it's almost as if you're cleaning what's within. And that's why cleaning is such a satisfying activity. And while languages are different from place to place, and methods of communication and different cultural norms, there are many things that are universal. Art is something that is largely universal. It speaks to the same place within humans, whether you're here or you're there. Body language, which they say in regular conversation, most of your communication is done through body language. Well, when you look, if you're to do a Google search, an image search of somebody, someone who there's a lot of photos of someone famous, you probably see a lot of different expressions on that person's face. I did that for President Obama a few years ago, and sometimes he looks confused, sometimes he looks strong, sometimes he looks, neutral, sometimes he's smiling. I mean, and the energy that he has in those moments is what you detect when you see it. So what is the point of all this? I mean, I guess this is all just knowledge to be had. I mean, there are many, many ways in which you could use it. But I'm just commenting on I guess, the facts of the matter for as it stands. But I think, no, but I think it's useful from the standpoint of finding a unification among people, because when people are so different and you identify a lot with cultural aspects or skin color or whatever aspects people identify with, and then you view the other one as an other, which is, on one hand it's true because they're different from the things you identify with, but there's actually a lot more in common that each of those people have, such as the fact that, for one thing, all people are all human, and that makes us, if humans and primates are 99% the same, I mean, DNA wise, humans and humans are much, much, much more than 99% the same. And I think connecting with people, it helps you connect, because honestly, when you're really just with somebody, it doesn't really matter who they are, what they look like, or where they're from, or what their background is. There's a really nice song by the Backstreet Boys. I listened to this one a lot, and especially when I was driving to college in 2010, my first time going from Orlando to University of Florida. And the song is called "As Long as You Love Me," and it goes, "I don't care who you are, where you're from, don't care what you did, as long as you love me." It's a nice message. It's a really good song too. So, yeah, and it's important to be able to see commonalities because again differences are vast, and the more time goes on with technology, with more planes, with internet and phones, everything gets smaller. I mean, you could be watching this in India right now or in Africa, and I'm in Florida filming it. That's just one quick example. And the more we need to be able to know each other, see each other, our neighborhood is not what it was 100 years ago when there was no means of communication with anybody outside of the people you were locally around. While, of course, we're physically surrounded by these people, and they are very important just as they've always been, what goes on around the world affects us more now. And it can be maddening and dizzying. Um, it's in a way, growing up today is easier from the standpoint of material things, from the standpoint of economic fears, being less in general because the world is wealthier. That's all better. But, oh, and ability to like call someone. Like, I can't imagine 20 years ago if I needed to call someone in my family to tell them to update their grocery list, right? You can do that now easily. And as a matter of fact, you expect that it's going to work when you do it. 20 years ago, you gave the wrong grocery list, you're not getting what you wanted. So in those respects, it's easier and better. But in other respects, I mean, you need to know about what's going on around the world. And business is, all businesses to some degree, however small, international. And we're more exposed to it now. And so in time, the unity will increase. However, that may end up taking place. But I think a good way, if you seek to help this idea of unity, is to look at art. I mean, there's no grand sweeping request to, go and do something, start an organization, but something from personal benefit. Look at art, listen to music, probably stuff you already do, and be aware that the many other people who listen to that, look at that same painting or movie, they feel very similar things as you do. And their thoughts about it will be different, but they're a different person. Feeling center is the same. And I've been watching The Godfather. I've watched it a few times. In the 70s, Marlon Brando, who plays the Godfather, was in an interview. He won the Oscar for this movie, and he was a very famous, successful actor since the 50s. This was in the 70s. And he said, I'm not better than anybody else. And from a standpoint of ego or, status, that sentence doesn't make sense, given that he's this big shot, legendary guy and very skilled, very good at what he does, actor. And then he continues to elaborate. Nothing I feel is different than anything anyone else feels. I heard that a couple of years ago, and I didn't really understand I kind of got it, but I was still fixated on the, but you're Marlon Brando aspect. But given that he was Marlon Brando and he wasn't necessarily fixated on his image, he understood that. He understood a deeper thing, because he, I don't know, maybe he was, like elevated in his thinking, I don't know, but yeah. And similar family dynamics occur. The Godfather is made in the 70s, takes place in the 40s and 50s, and it's a family story. And those family, regardless of who they were, where they're from, being in New York at the time period, similar family dynamics exist today with, passing on of power and, sibling rivalries and father and son talks. It's all the same. So anyway, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, hope you enjoy this, and I hope the I'm tired right now. I'm kind of sick also, but it's okay. I came up with a good song today. I was playing guitar and I did my scales, and then came up with a good song, you know. And I told my singing teacher that I wanted to, you know, touch people with music and make them, you know, feel better and, you know, stuff like that. And she said, "Oh, that's all good and everything, but focus on yourself. Focus on making yourself feel it, and that's what makes the other people feel it. And also, don't focus on the outside. That's not what this is about. It's not about touching people. It's about feeling it yourself, and then they feel it. And that's why I said, you know, if you want to further the cause of unity or further the cause of common understanding, watch movies, listen to music, watch art, look at art, appreciate life. See, those are things that operate under the surface, and when you're able to do that, that's when that helps you, you know, build magic within yourself. It's not a concrete, it's not some direct, you know, like way of going about it. It's an underneath the surface. In the same way, if you're a tennis player, you got to do your footwork drills, man. And if you don't, you're not going to be very good. And you don't see the many steps that happen under the surface for a tennis player: diet, fitness, footwork, serve practice, mental focus. It's all small stuff that over a period of time adds up, you know. So when this stuff occurs over a period of time of appreciating life, that's when we all get a lot better. So, okay. Do I have anything else to say? I guess I picked up this knowledge. I've had a lot of influences, you know. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, then I went to high school in Orlando, then I went to University of Florida. I took a lot of different classes, and I've met like lots of people. I've talked to thousands of people, and I'm counting, just like, hey, how are you? What's up? You know, you passed the baton by or something. But, you know, but everything that happens to me, I just listen to, and then I think about to some degree or the next, and, you know, all the influences combined, just like many ingredients of food. If you're making soup or something, like bean soup, it's like 200 beans in a pot of soup, you know. For me, it's just been lots and lots of different ingredients putting together, and I've always been cooking, you know, and that's why the soup of, you know, what I know and what I am is just continuing to become more variegated, more dynamic, more, you know, better quality. And it comes from just continual intake and I put a proper heat on it, you know. The heat is my thinking about it, you know, seeing how it relates to other things. You know, I took acting class. I learned about archetypes and stuff earlier than that, but the human spirit and everything from acting class. And then Toastmasters. And honestly, it's come through following my instinct on a lot of things. You know, when I was in my sort of earlier 20s and mid-20s, which I'm still in my mid-20s, you count 26 and mid-20s, which I do, up till 27. I went to New Jersey to go help my father, who was just beginning to like fall like ill, and you know, that was a calling. And I had to do a lot, you know, like, and I grew a lot as a person. It's difficult, and it's living life in a full way, doing stuff you're invested in, and you really start to care about it a lot, in a good way. And then you learn a lot, because you learn from every bit of your surrounding. When you have a tough job to do, you need to know every aspect of the job. You know, very simply, if I need to get to New Jersey, I need to be able to book a flight. You know, I need to know my credit card. I need to put it in. I need to know how to do that. That's simple, obviously, and I need to know how to get to the airport, get there on time, how much time I need, you know, where to stand, you know, and then once I get off the plane in New Jersey, where to go. I mean, that's really simple stuff. My point is, you gotta know. When you gotta do something, you really need to know all this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's come through living life, you know, and it's not. I don't do it in this planned, structured type of way. I used to, and that has fallen to pieces. And now there is structure, but it's more loose now, you know. And that looseness has allowed me to end up exploring this musical aspect of myself. It's allowed me to start making better speeches. Taking time off from everything has allowed me to come back and do it better. And nothing you learn or nothing you experience is ever lost on you. And that's why. Oh, another thing. They always say people don't remember how it makes you. People won't remember what you say, but remember how you made them feel. So I was gonna say, you don't remember. You remember a lot of things that you've experienced, especially the ones that are meaningful. I can remember stuff from 2009, 2002, 2005, long time ago, last year, year before, last month, the stuff that stuck out, you know? And for me, the way I wanted to live when I was younger, and I fell off this path a little bit, I'm getting back on it, I would put every amount of work, all the suffering needed to really do something beautiful, amazing, and magical, right? So simply put, for a test when I was younger, if I thought getting a good grade was like the best thing, okay? I'd study all night, you know, theoretically at least. I didn't do all-nighters when I was in middle school, but I just study for hours and hours and go through all the suffering. And then I would go and take the test, then I get a really good grade. And when I'm on the test, I'm just going really fast, doing it really well. And then I remember that experience years later. That was my thinking, you know? And then as time gone on, I got so bombarded by so many things, and things became more difficult. I started taking shortcuts, and that was a mistake, because the only goodness really comes when you have a dedicated, meticulous, patient process for what you're doing. And that does not need to be structured, but it needs to be done with care. And that's what I'm doing now. You know, I'm caring a lot for the stuff that I'm doing, and I feel good. I feel something on the. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it on the inside. Something is different. Something is different about that. And of course, the heights then get better. You know, because I'm immersing myself in these activities so deeply. And that's the old me. That's the me from 2002 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so forth. Before you start growing up more, you go in the real world and you can get shocked at how things operate and how difficult things can be and how much you change. It's all difficult, you know, so everything that I say, really, I'm saying with, I mean, I don't think I sound arrogant at all. I really don't, because I'm not trying to, you know, like talk about myself in some self-aggrandizing way, but everything I'm saying, I'm trying to say with the sense of, like, you know, empathy, you know, for whoever, you know. I know what people go through. I know what I go through, and many times it's been awful, you know. So, you know, my words, and, you know, I'm trying to help. That's why I do this. I'm trying to help, you know. And, yeah. So, one good example of that is when I was in 10th grade. I had a great U.S. government teacher. I was in an AP U.S. government class, and I really liked the subject. And I studied for the exam, the AP exam. I studied so hard. I knew like everything from the Princeton Review AP book. And I went in, and I remember there's probably multiple choice, and then some short answers, and 4 essays. And one was about Martin Luther King. And I remember I just went in that test, and this is the most confident I've ever felt, ever, on anything, on a test at least. I did like, I went so, I knew everything about this on this AP test. And I wrote such a good essay about Martin Luther King. And then I remember I was wearing gold framed, you know, like gold like rim glasses. And then I felt so confident, and then I left. I felt so confident. It was an exhilarating feeling. And I knew I got a 5 out of 5 on that test, which is not an easy grade to get. And then, yeah, I got it, which I already knew I'd get. But that feeling was where it was at, that feeling. And it helped because I had an interest in the topic. So, yeah, that's what it is. You know, I had an interest in helping my dad the other, you know, like a couple of years ago, last year, earlier this year. And that's why I was able to do it well, because I really had an interest in it. And you learn a lot, like I said. So, human musings, you know, it's all human musings. You know, I'm aware that I'm putting this on the internet. It's 2018 right now, December like 12th or December 11th, and you could be watching this at any time. So this is like a time capsule of me, where I am, who I am. I'm 26 years old and almost 5 months, and 26 years, 4 months, 26 days, and the two major smartphone things are Apple and Android. Facebook is the dominant social media. There's also Twitter and Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. What else? What else happens in our time? Huh, I don't know. A lot of stuff, you know? A lot of stuff. It's an engaging, amazing time, but I've felt that way about every time I've lived in. You know? I've always enjoyed my life, more or less, you know? I'm part of a group called Toastmasters, and I give speeches there. I joined 2 years ago, and I've met a lot of good friends there. Honestly, really good friends. You know, really good friends. Like Garen, he's on my show. He was my second guest. Amazing People show. Alex Street, he was my sixth guest, I believe, and then Chris Miles, my seventh. All from Toastmasters. A great mentor named Ty. I've developed as a person because again I care about it. And a difference in the way that I give speeches between then and between now is I used to be more, first of all, serious. And I know I look serious now. It's because I'm tired and I'm sick. But I used to be more serious and then kind of stiff. And I wasn't as well prepared. And that's what I mean when I talk about slow and meticulous work. I'm working on this I gave this JFK peace speech. By that I mean a speech about world peace that I wrote as if in the style as if I were him. I delivered it in his voice. So like, we are gathered here today. All right, that was kind of fun. No, that's not how I did it. That was a caricature. Let me do it for real. We are gathered here today at a time in which the world has never been safer, and in which it has never been more dangerous. That is the first line. You know, and I actually practiced it quite a bit, but I did not break the emotional barrier, and therefore the speech was delivered. It never quite got the reception I wanted. The words are excellent. My ability to deliver it needs work. Now, I have an American Unity speech that I'm working on now, which I initially wanted to make like a JFK speech as well, and I intended on it. And Dr. Garagazlu, who was the third guest on my show, I read him that JFK peace speech. He said, I'm like, did you like my accent? He's like, oh yeah, it was amazing. What was more amazing is the words. I can't believe you wrote that. You should deliver it in your voice. And I'm like, my voice? No, this is a JFK speech, you know? And anyway, I almost did the JFK thing again on this American Unity speech. I really almost did. I mean, it helps, you know, like JFK is a finished product in terms of, you know, you can see the videos, like he knew how to give the speeches, and if you were to do it like him, you know, that's good, right? If you can do it like him, that's great. That's a finished product, you know, maybe you can go start at the finished product and work downwards. Maybe that was my subconscious thinking. But anyway, I gave the American Unity speech, the same problem, emotional barrier problem. Now, since then, I've made it a part of my goals to work on it. 10 minutes per day. At least 10 minutes per day. Once I start, it normally goes over 10 minutes. It could be like, I think I worked on it maybe 30 minutes today. I don't know. But some days I go just over 10. But I need to hit that 10-minute mark. You do consistent practice like that, you'll get it. Whatever it is. You get better at least. I've got more passion in it. The speech is actually almost doubled in length. I put in a quote from George Washington, which I may or may not keep. I've elaborated on Lincoln and his presidency. And the whole topic is about American unity. I use these two guys who are universally considered to be great presidents, and use them as examples for how we can make union in a divided country today. I remember, I just remember a lot of times going up, giving a well-written speech, and you know, getting no one really liked it. They're like, you got talent. But, there's a but, they didn't feel it. They didn't feel it. And that is the harder job, because I can do cerebral stuff. I can do it, you know. And I can do this emotive stuff. I really can. I did acting training. You know, I can do that. Speaking of all the stuff I was saying earlier about universal, whatever I said, universal, you know, like human instinct and stuff, feelings. You know, I can do that. We all can do it, actually. And I can do it. I just need to actually do it. That's the thing. That's going to set the difference between where I am now and, you know, how everything ends up unfolding. So one of the things that helps me do stuff more meticulously and with more care is the fact that I'm more patient, and I'm 26, and you know I have less energy than I used to. I remember when I was 16, I was full of energy, like hyper energy, and it's just not the case anymore. And it leaves me, you know, I hope it doesn't get worse. You know, I mean, I know I'm only 26, and I shouldn't necessarily be declining at this point. It could be because I'm sick, or I'm just overworked, or over, you know, whatever. I don't know what the cause may be, but anyway, one good side of this is that I'm more calm now. I can actually just sit and just look at a room for, you know, several minutes now and not get bored or not need to turn on a screen. That right there is a buildup of concentrative ability that can lead to better care, better character. You know, because ultimately, you know, when you're aware of the fact that you have all of this energy, all of this potential, and I'm not talking specifically about myself, I'm speaking to any person who, you know, there's all these watts of energy going on in your brain and all this blood pulsating through your body, and you have the ability to apply that in ways that are deeply personally gratifying. And when you're and if you want to do that, obviously you want to do it to the best of your ability, to the best of to achieve the best quality result, as well as summon the best within yourself to feel the best you can. And you want to do this while giving the best service to the thing that you're doing or creating. And you feel the best when you become one with the thing as you're doing it. So that's one of the benefits of getting older. And you know, if you're a kid, don't look at older people and compare yourself to them. It's a losing battle, because they've been around so much longer, and they've had time to develop themselves much more than a younger person has. And there's nothing to say that when you're at that age or younger, you could be doing the same. Provided, no, I mean, you know, if you set your intention towards it, you can do it. It takes time, though. It takes some pain, it takes some time, but it is ultimately gratifying, and is ultimately the only thing that really sort of matters. Okay, I think that is all that I have to say for now.